Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always are my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And we'd like to welcome you to the podcast. Hey, we've had a great month. You're kind of joining us a little late in the month, but we had a special event. It was Jay's birthday. So happy birthday, Jay.
Thank you, guys.
In case you missed it.
It was
29 again.
Yes, he was.
yeah, 29.
In case you missed it, March 7th is birthday. I posted something on Facebook, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. He got a really nice gift in the mail. But before we do, Mike, you had some interesting adventures as well. So why don't you bring us up to speed?
You guys know that I've been doing a lot of paramotoring lately, and so my instructor has a really nice area because we launch there, at his facility. So it's about 16 acres or so. And I thought, you know what, this would make a pretty good flying field. So I decided to bring my planes over to his place. We're going to do some training. I was going to let him fly one of my planes, and then I would fly my planes, and let he and I would do buddy box together. So when I get there, though, it's like a marsh. I mean, it had been raining badly the last week or so, and so there was a lot of water. Luckily, I brought my Polaris. I think it's called the Dragonfly from Hobby King, and so that was the perfect plane to have with me.
Oh yeah.
And so I flew that for a little bit. Yep, I flew that for a little bit, and then I'm gonna talk about one of my flights there in a second. But then I after I flew that plane, I got out the other plane I was going to do training with, and I was putting it together. It was the Wing Dragon, also probably a Hobby King product, or at least from Hobby King, not their product, but it's from them. And it's something I've had in my possession for a long, long time. It's a great plane because it's a pod and boom plane. So if you nose it in, there's likelihood you won't break it. The rubber bands will break off and the wing will come off maybe, but probably won't destroy it unless you, really drive it into the ground. And so it's a great plane for a beginner because you can still do aileron rolls with it if you want and some other stuff. And I was putting it together, and I broke the elevator connector to the elevator control.
What?
I was so disappointed. Yes. Now, that particular plane has a history of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've bought a couple of them, and they're really brittle, those connectors. I can't remember the name of them anymore. Yeah, the clevises. And they, so it was brittle and it broke. Now, if it was the rudder one, I would have flown anyway, but it was the elevator. And so without an elevator, I don't need the rudder, but definitely need the elevator.
Yeah, difficult to fly without an elevator. Trust me, I know that for a fact.
Well, I could have floated the edge to knife edges the whole time, but that that's just not a good time. Anyway,
no, tough to land on this.
It's got a dihedral too, so yeah. Truly.
That's funny.
But you've seen the movie Flight, haven't you? That guy flew it upside down and then rolled it and landed. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. We won't go there.
So
get me off on a tangent already.
Yeah, exactly. So that my buddy, my instructor didn't get to fly. I felt pretty bad. Mm. But what I was going to get back to on the Dragonfly was, I was doing a touch and go. My last, doing touch and goes just to get practice because it's been such a long time since I've flown that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up skipping it. So it went straight up
and nosed in.
Straight back down.
Oh, man.
Well, hey, Mike, but can you describe what that plane looks like and just the general setup of the plane?
Sure. If anybody knows what a Polaris looks like, it's exactly like a Polaris. And so it's got basically a delta wing configuration with a tail, and it has a rudder, and the motor, again, is in the back. So if you crash it, nosedive it, it doesn't really hurt the engine terribly. Again, depends on how you crash it. Now, the lucky thing was it was marshy. So when it nosed in, it just went, right into the
Wait, how did it go?
Soggy ground. And
then she was gone.
And then she's gone, exactly. The other thing that happened was one of the connectors came off the battery. to the escape. And I
To
don't
the
know
what?
if it came
Wait,
off.
to the what? To the ESC?
To the ESC. I was trying to escape out of it.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it broke off, and when the battery landed, luckily for me in the mud, it landed with the connector out of the water.
Oh, so it was easy to find, and it didn't short out.
Well, not only that, yes, right. It might have been a nice little fire. It would have been a bubbly, smoky mess because it was pretty murky.
Was it?
It's pretty murky, so it would have shorted pretty good, I imagine.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't want to test it, and I'm glad I didn't have to.
So
my buddy was like, "Don't you need to get that battery out of the water there?" Yeah, the connector's out of the water. We should be okay.
it's cooling off. It's a
It's
water
cool
cooled
enough.
battery.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Safety third.
Yeah, safety third. So the Dragonflyer, the Polaris, this particular airplane is actually both land and water and snow, right? You can fly it off of any surface because it has like a
It's
flat
my favorite
bottom.
Alaskan plane. Exactly.
Yeah, it has a flat
Yeah,
bottom. It's got a pusher prop that's on a boom up top, and then if I'm not mistaken, the elevator is up where the motor is, right?
It is
almost
actually
like
it's
a
a
T-tail.
tractor.
Yeah.
It's actually a tractor, not a pusher.
A
It's
tractor.
puller.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it pushes.
Yeah.
Instead of a pusher. Unlike the other one, it's a pusher.
Oh, okay.
The pod and boom plane I have is a pusher.
Right. Okay.
So, yep, and the elevator is right. It's right behind the motor, which is great because air flowing over that space. As long as you got the motor running, you got surface control, at least elevator and rudder control.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah,
That's awesome.
It was kind of fun though. That thing zips along. It's a fast plane, even on a 3-cell. It's a lot of fun to fly. It does barrel rolls like nobody's business. You click that thing over and it goes. It just spins like a top.
So the moral to this story
it makes you.
The moral of the story is you got to get back
don't
out and
skip
fly.
your landing.
No, you got to get back out and fly more.
That is true. That's true.
Get on those sticks.
I don't. What I don't know though, Mike, if the connector came loose at the skip, because I don't remember not trying the power or trying the power. I don't remember if I did. Likely I didn't, but I don't remember trying it. So it could have been a lost cause anyway. Because
Could have.
If the battery, if the connector came off, I had no controls anyway.
Right.
But luckily, it was only like 4 feet in the air or 5 feet in the air. It wasn't very high.
Were you coming in? Do you
But
think
it was enough to make the battery.
Do you think you were coming in too fast?
Huh?
Do you think you were coming in too fast?
It's possible. I just skipped it.
Yeah.
I just skipped it. Instead of I went at the ground too fast and then pulled up, right? So so I hit the ground and then because I pulled up, it just skipped right off the ground like a rock on the water. Just
right.
Just
going
up.
Easy repair though, right? You can fix it.
Oh! I just had to fix the connector. Nothing else broke.
There you go.
Said, the top came off, but it nosed in, but then came right out of the. It's not like it got stuck in there. It nosed in. And again, I might have had control, so I was probably up elevate. I had the elevator up as much as I could, and so it wasn't going straight in. It just sort of hit the ground, and like I said, the battery popped out.
Well, very cool. Well, we're gonna look forward to your repair and see how the next flight goes.
Ooh, well, I just need to practice.
There you go. More time on the.
Well, that's better than the
sticks.
last. As I say, it's better than the last time when you flew it up in Alaska. If you remember, you needed to, go out, borrow the lady's canoe, go out there, pedal out there in the canoe. It was freaking hilarious because
it was
lady
hilarious.
who you borrowed the canoe off of, which was like an
She was like,
inflatable.
"Yeah,
or
you
whatever.
can use my boat. This is going to be entertaining." That was her statement.
Oh my gosh, I'm just sitting there. She's like,
And it was too.
She's like, does he know
And it
what
was
he's doing?
windy.
And I said, I don't think so. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And Mike's paddling in circles and out in the lake. And, but it did the same thing.
It wasn't exactly a canoe either. It was more like a flat. It was like more like a blow up raft canoe.
Yes.
there you go.
Like you buy at the
So
dollar store. It was
so
hilarious.
any wind. There was no. I don't even think there was a keel. And so any wind pushed me around. And then it was pushing. What I was chasing after was the top. We got the plane, but the top kept floating away. So every time I would get closer to it, the waves I would make would make it go
Push it
further
away.
away. It's like, you gotta be kidding me.
That's awesome.
I
And you
think
gotta
I ended
remember
up having to use the.
that particular crash when he did it. Do you remember an old TV series called Voyager, I think it was called, and it was about a submarine, and they would launch a plane out of the submarine, and it would push out of the water.
Right.
Well, Mike's was the plane was coming back in the water, it came down, and just dived
they
that
submerged
plane,
that whole thing.
and he submerged the whole plane, disappeared.
The whole
and the
plane.
propeller was still going. It was like going to the water. Then it kind of popped up like a goldfish.
Actually, and what's funny is that it still operated because we were smart enough to water seal the ESC and to spray some of that stuff on there, X lube or whatever that stuff was. Jay,
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah, it was
remember
Corrosion
the name.
X.
Corrosion X, and also all the electronics were working. So I was able to get the plane close to us. Again, the wind was really causing havoc on it. It wasn't really windy, but it was just enough to be a pain in the butt to get the plane close to us.
That's funny.
So yeah, it was funny. Anyway,
So you didn't need a
hilarious.
boat. This at least it was shallow enough you could just
Didn't
walk
need
to
a
the
boat.
plane, right? Good.
in fact, I didn't even do it. My instructor did. He goes, "I got my boots on. I'll go get it." Because I had
what a
boots in the
nice
car.
guy.
I was going to put them on. He goes,
gotcha.
"No, I'll-" So he went and got it.
Very nice.
And it really was only 6 or 8 feet in front of us too, so it was not likely to go trudging through deep, knee-deep mud or anything like that either.
Wow.
But
That's nice.
Sarge
Well, that was nice.
did me a solid there.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. And like I said, we're going to look forward to your next adventure with this airplane. Make sure you get that fixed and give us another report.
I gotta, I'm open to ideas on how to fix that. That clevis. I'm gonna maybe 3D print one. I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know how good that'll turn out. So
Are you
we'll
talking
have
about
to
a
see.
clevis, or are you talking about the control horn?
No,
because the
clevis.
control horn.
The clevis broke.
So the clevis is. You can get a metal one, right?
The little rod that comes out of the clevis that clicks into the control horn.
Yeah.
That's what broke.
Oh, on
So-
so it's sandwiches and it's got a little nipple on the inside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
that
You
broke.
can. Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to think of how you would be able to do that.
I could have I guess I could drill a hole, put a toothpick through it. I mean, there are lots of other solutions
Or a
I could use
wire.
with the current one.
Yeah, you could drill and put a wire through there.
In what way?
Yeah. Well, like I have
a wire,
a small
right.
wire, and you just adhere
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
you just
get it.
twist it, and it'll hold it. I mean, you're not looking for like.
Or I could have
firm.
a bolt, a small hole, and then a bolt and a nut.
You could do that
that.
too. Yeah.
Right.
That's the way these work.
Yeah. So anyway,
my jet works that way.
yeah.
But it
Yeah,
takes
exactly.
up all.
They
It
would
takes
have
up
to have
all of
something
the
for-
slack. You don't have any slack,
Right.
so it's a real
exactly.
tight. So
Yeah, I would
Well,
go with
well,
the
Jay-
small nut and bolt idea.
yeah, you could do that.
Well, I think I'm going to try a 3D print just because.
Let us know how it goes.
Just because. Yeah. If
Very
I can
cool.
find one small enough for it. Because it's going to be small tolerances. Like the rod is I think it's probably less than 1 millimeter thick. And,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'd be better either to get the wire, from some scrap wire
which is
that you
exactly
have from.
why I'm going to try to 3D print it, Jay.
There you
Just
go.
because I want to create
Crazy.
frustration for myself.
I don't know. On the elevator, it's kind of critical. Rudder, I'd be like, yeah, I'll try it, but I don't know about on the elevator.
That's true.
dude.
I would probably switch it from the elevator, the rudder, and the elevator one.
I could do that too. That's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
idea.
Then you put the other
Switch
one.
leaves.
Then your 3D one on
There
the
you
rudder.
go. Now we're thinking. Now we're thinking as a
Yeah,
team.
3 heads are better than one.
Uh huh.
Jay, happy birthday!
Happy
Yes,
birthday,
thank
Jay.
you guys.
I heard a coffin-sized
most
box
happy.
showed up. Yeah, I heard a
Yeah,
coffin-sized box
coffin
showed
size
up on your
box showed
doorstep.
up outside the house, and yeah, and of course I did the crazy part because I bent my knees to pick the box up. And you think I'd be used to this, but I kind of bent my knees, and I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be heavy. Whoa! Almost threw the box up in the air. So it was a lot lighter than I suspected, as I was bending for. But for such a large box, it weighed practically nothing. But I was very, very pleased when I pulled it into the house.
Good.
And I
you
was a
actually
good boy
did
because what's that?
You actually waited.
Yeah. I actually it came. Usually things kind of come after or whatever, but this actually came 2 or 3 days before my birthday, and I was ready to rip it all apart. But I actually was able to. I said, I'm going to wait until my birthday and actually open this up on my birthday, and then I'm spend all day, of course, playing with this thing. But and that's what I did, and I'm glad that I waited because I had no idea what it was going to be.
So
I mean,
walk
I knew
us
it was
through.
a plane, and and I kind of first I suspected, since your love of jets, that you got me another jet, So that's what I kind of thought it was going to be. But I was really mildly surprised of what it was when I opened it up. So I was like, whoa, boy, this is kind of cool. So, and those for those folks who want to know what it is, it's the Bison XT.
There you go.
Bison XT.
Look at that.
I thought it was going to be a bunny rabbit.
Yeah. That's a bison. Very nice.
So, yeah. And the funny part was, usually they send you a box where it's, a brown paper box, which it was, but it had, on one end, it had, Bison XT on it. And I didn't see that until later. And then I did see it the day before my birthday. And then I was just looking, I'm like, what's a Bison? I had no clue what plane a Bison was, Bison XT. I was sitting there like, it wasn't ringing any bells. So
it's not a bunny rabbit. You knew that right away.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny. So I'm like, do I look it up? No, I'll just have to wait. But I was racking my brains, and I could not think of a Bison aircraft, except for the only thing I could think of a Bison aircraft was like a Russian jet, another Russian jet or something. I thought maybe it might be. So, but I was very mildly
Alaskan
surprised.
plane.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm saying, Bison.
I still didn't
it's a
look
bush
it up.
plane.
It might be. I was like, okay.
No,
Well,
I don't
a
think
bush
it's
plane, and this. Oh, okay. Well, it definitely set up as a bush plane. It has all the elements of things that I like, which was quite surprising because I loved the Fun Cub, which I still have, which we've been working on. But the one thing that everybody loves about the Fun Cub was that it had those big foam tires. They were hard tires, but it had big bush like tire wheels. This one has the real deal. I don't know if you can't see it, but
you can't see them.
It's got I guess I'd say they're 8-inch, maybe 9-inch balloon tires. They're freaking huge. And you get a little air pump that comes with it, so you can pump the tire or let out the air depending on whether you're taking off a runway or you're on a grass field. Which being that I have a grass field, this thing's gonna go over it like butter. I'm pretty sure it's just gonna eat that field up. Yeah, so it's pretty robust. It's those tires. The landing gear is definitely a definite add-in to the plane. So.
It's a new airplane by Motion, basically, and I was thinking about getting Jay another jet, but I decided that because of his runway, a jet, unless it has trailing gear, isn't going to really be as conducive to his
and
grass
even with
field. Yeah, and even with it, I mean his L39 does great, but I was just thinking, well, he's got the L39. You fly that around. And then in my head, I started thinking, we had the big Bushmaster, and that was the mistake. When I went and flew it last, we had an issue with the elevator. And when I did a hammerhead turn, the elevator let loose. It actually came undone, and I just drilled it right into the ground. So I felt really bad because that was a really fun airplane. It had the big balloon tires. Anyway, when I was on Motion, I was ordering some parts for me, for my Motion airplanes, and I saw that under their new aircraft, and I started reading about it, and I thought, now this is exactly what would be great for the field that Jay flies off of, because it's not a smooth grass, it's kind of a clumpy grass, and with the big, fat tires, and I know he loves the big, cushy tires, and he's got a set. He's just waiting for he's got a bigger set. He just needs an airplane to put those on. And after I read a little bit about this, I was like, oh, this is really kind of cool. So I decided to pull the trigger on that one. And normally, whenever you receive the box, it has no markings on the outside. Almost all the ones that I've received have just been a plain box. Jay sends this picture to me, and it's literally got Motion RC on the side of it. It's got Bison XT on the side of it. I'm literally like, you got to be kidding me. It looks like they just took the box without the picture of it and just, put a sticker on the outside. I'm like, it couldn't have been anywhere.
Doesn't Motion understand that when people buy planes, it's a lot like porn?
You got to
supposed
cover
get
it
in
up.
a plane. I mean, you don't know if the wife's going to answer the door or
Right.
someone's going to see stuff they shouldn't see. I mean, this is none of their business.
Yeah.
This is our business.
Well, it's funny because Jay, I called him, and after he said he got this big package, and I asked him, I said, "Oh, did you open it yet?" He goes, "No, I think I'm going to wait for my birthday." And I said, "Really? That's awesome, that you would wait, because I know that box is sitting there calling his name." And so anyway, on the birthday, I was waiting patiently for this call, and I texted him, and I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm playing with my gift, and then I knew that he was had opened it and started taking the parts out, and the heck with us, right? I'm not going to talk to you guys. I've got something I got to do.
I have a hunch here, Jay. I want to ask you a question. What time did you open that box? 12:01.
It would have been.
Oh, you're muted though.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been whenever you got up, right? And so. Jay has to unmute his mic. I think he muted his mic for us. And there you go. What time did you open the box?
So what was that?
Yeah.
What was it?
Oh, I said it was noonish when I started working on the plane, and you said,
noonish,
so when did you start work? When did you start working on when you got up? And I was like, yeah, around noonish. When
At noon. So what were your first impressions? Funny. Walk us through your first impressions.
Okay, so the parts that seem really nice, I knew it was going to be a good kit when you open up one of these boxes and you can tell how well it's packed. What kind of thought they put into it for how they packed it. Now, the wingspan on that thing is about 68, 69 inches. Okay, so it's a two-piece wing that pulls apart and everything. So they had, both the wings in there fully pretty much done. There, really wasn't anything to put to it or add on it or anything like that. The elevator is in two pieces. That pulls apart. So, you have the fuselage, you have the two half pieces of the elevator, you have the two half pieces of the wings. You have, of course, the landing gear, which is all kind of compressed. And that's kind of slick how it kind of compresses. And when you don't have the wheels or anything on there, it can fold into a really small package, because once again, you really don't have to assemble anything for it. And that's pretty cool.
I wonder how long that plane is. I wonder if it would fit in my golf bag.
Would it fit in your golf bag?
I mean, if I come over to your house and then the plane's missing,
it would. I think it would fit in there.
What
would probably not fit would be the rudder. And even though the rudder's kind of cool too, it's also in two pieces. So, you have the part that attaches to the fuselage, and then you have the actual rudder itself, and that's on a hinge that has a pin. Has two hinge pins, and it goes together upside down. So those pins go down, downward, upside down, into the plane. So they swing with gravity, and then they screw in from the bottom with a screw that holds them tight. So that rudder comes right off. So the cool part about this is quite literally about the golf bag idea. If you set it up right, you probably could take it in your golf bag. I don't know about if the wings would fit in there. You might have to get a separate bag or carry them separate or something, or a wing bag or something. But the fuselage and like the elevator, you probably could carry within your wing bag. You probably could get it to.
Yeah, we'd have to just know the different sizes.
Yeah,
I bet you those wings are big. I mean, they would fit in there. The question is whether the fuselage and the wings would.
Yeah,
like it looks like, because the bag's actually pretty big. I carried 3 or 4 planes in there before, so I mean it can't carry a lot. But if it's too wide,
that would be the big thing. The cord of the width of the wing is pretty wide, because it's kind of a squarish wing. And it's got leading edge devices too, right?
Yeah, it's got leading edge devices that hook. They don't hook into the flaps. They operate off the same servo. So once you get you get your flaps all set up on the other servo arm. Use a two-sided servo arm. On the opposite side, you stick the flap mechanism, which goes into a mechanism in the wing. It's something that's actually built into the wing that moves those slats forward and back. I don't have them connected. Well, I have them connected, but I haven't, got it all on my radio quite yet. That's like the last thing I have to do to that is to get those things figured out. So, but other than that, like I said, the landing gear is it's really robust, and I really appreciate that, for gear. It's got a little piston in it that goes up to, goes up by the door on the plane or, on the fuselage. So it's getting a lot of strength there. And then it has a little block that has a lip on it, or at least the centering mechanism so that you can put it in and then you screw it in with screws. It's really neat. It's really robust. It goes into nice thick plastic, so it's not any kind of chintzy thing that's going to break. I fully expect that you could bang this down on the runway or any rough terrain and not have a problem at all. So.
Oh, that sounds like I should fly it.
Yeah, I think you'll be able to fly this no problem. Not in the least bit.
I think I'll come down with my empty golf bag.
Come down with your empty golf bag, and it's going to leave empty
funny.
Too. So
yeah, there you go.
Maybe
those are fighting words.
But putting the kit together, for the most part, like I said, I appreciate the thought of how they put it together, how they packed it in the box. But I do have some small niggles with the plane. It did have a couple of QC problems. Nothing huge, and I'm sure this is could be I guess this is the version 2, and so with version 1, when you got the tires, they weren't complete. You had to glue them together and put them together yourself. With this one, they come complete, which was nice, and they give you a little pump for the pumping it up and everything. That's nice and everything. But like one of the things that I noticed, at least for for this part of the plane, what was I having problems with? I know you guys also got me floats, which was kind of cool. The floats I definitely had some QC problems with. I'm trying to think with the main plane. Let's see here.
They didn't put the screws through, or the holes for the landing gear weren't drilled all the way through.
That's right, in the landing gear, right? So I was telling you they gave you a block. It's kind of like a block with a centering device in it, and 4 holes. You screw it in. Well, I didn't know the 2 of the holes the way they were drilled. It almost looked like you were supposed to put the holes in. Or you're supposed to screw it in from the fuselage. You open up the canopy and then you screw down to, from that end. Well, what they had done was like they had drilled through the block just enough so it had 2 little dimples. And I was like, oh, well, they must be there for like when you screw into it, it holds it down or it does something, right? And so I kind of put all the gear together and I'm like, something's not right. This isn't right. So I went back. I'm looking at videos. I'm looking at the directions, and sure enough, you were supposed to, put your screws through those, what were supposed to be holes, but they didn't go all the way through. So that was a bit of a, like I said, it wasn't terrible. That I couldn't put the plane together. I just had to finish. I had a 3mm, drill bit. And I was able to drill through the aluminum and, and then scrape off the holes and make them flush and everything. So it worked out okay, but, I could see for somebody else, they may not have a 3mm, drill bit or anything, and they would have been stumped if that had happened to them. So it's not a big. It was that was kind of a minor thing, and there was just some other little minor things, and then of course I kind of caused my own little problem. So when you put the wing together, they have 2 carbon fiber rods. They have it built into the wing. They're larger carbon rods, or rods in there, not rods. They're what do you want to call them? Tubes. They're carbon tubes. And then, of course, the rods go into the tubes. Well, I'm excited as I'm putting this thing together, and I'm kind of putting it together and stuff. And I grab the rod, and I go, okay, this goes into the wing. And the first one, it only goes in so far, so this is too long. It must go into this side. And I just drop it, I let go of it, and it slides in. I hear, thunk. I'm like, oh, okay. And I hold up the wing, and I go to get it out. It wouldn't come out. And I'm like, that's odd.
That sounds exactly how I put stuff together.
So I put it on the ground. I go off and I'm doing other things, and I kind of come back to this, and I'm like, all right, let me get the rod out. So I'm, papping on the top of the wing. Come out like ketchup, right? Ain't doing nothing. And I'm like, oh no, don't tell me it's like snagged or something in there. Oh no. So then I'm like, how am I going to get this out? Because it's just far enough that I can't put my finger in there. I can't use I tried to use my forceps that I have. I have a long pair. It was just too short. And then finally I kind of went over to my wife's stuff and I grabbed a little rod like this, a little thicker. She has ones that are a little thicker than this. Wrap some blue tape around it till I got the thickness I needed. And then I jammed it in there, and I could feel the rods turning as I'm turning it and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I got it. And I'm trying to pull it out. Oh, maybe, nope. I couldn't get the thing to come out. And I'm like, no, I can't believe this. So basically I had to, I don't know if you can see it on the wing here, but they have like little wing fences on the for the roots. For the tips of the wings, just a fence that sits on there. Mm-hmm. And you have to glue that on later. So I go, well, it's going to get glued over. So I kind of figured out I could see through the wing. I could just barely see where the wing was, that rod was going through. And I kind of just went dig with my X-Acto knife. Took something from the other end, bunk, and it popped it out. So, and then I glued the wing fence over it to cover the hole. So, Jeez. My own, just dropping a thing in there, thinking it's going to come out, just didn't come through. So that was my fault for that one. But other than that, like I said, the kit, it goes together fairly quickly. I won't say it's as quick as some other motion kits or some of their other kits, which really quite literally, all you have to do is just, pop the wings on, that type of thing, and just bind it to your radio, get it set up, and then you could be flying, within the hour. This took a little bit longer. One, because the nice part about this is they give you a thing with like 1,000 screws, which, they give you like 1 or 2, 3 screws for backups in case you mess up or you lose a screw. So they give you plenty of screws. Mm-hmm. The bags are very well labeled with, what exactly what exactly is in them. So that was nice. So you just don't get a pile of screws and you're like, what's in that screw bag? You could just look at it and see what's in there. So that was nice. Yeah, I really couldn't complain. Like I said, it went together quick. I didn't have to do anything for like sometimes when you put on an aileron or the rudder or something, you have to totally assemble it, or glue the clevises and all that kind of stuff on it. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to do any of that stuff. Pretty much you just had to just hook them together, put the screw in to hold them, because they're with those, what are those swivel things? Like they're, they have a plastic piece that goes on a ball. They have a ball link, and it goes over the top of them. Yeah. You just pop them together and put a screw in them. There's a name for them, but I can't think of what it. That's pretty much what all their control surfaces are like. So it's nothing to put them together, other than finding the screw to put into them. To hook everything up. So right. It was that was a little tedious just because I have gorilla hands. Trying to put that stuff in there, but. Other than that, I can't think of anything major with the actual plane. And once again, I'm excited to get it flying. So, and the nice part about this plane too, it either operates on a 4-cell or a 6-cell, which is nice because I have both. Now, what I've found out with a little research and just looking at some of the stuff, it turns out if you fly it on a 4-cell, you're going to find that it's very anemic. Not because, and they send you the props for those. They send you 2 props for either setup. The problem is with the 4-cell setup, they have the wrong prop. They send I think it's a 14-inch, maybe 15-inch prop, and it's like an inch. The prop they under-propped it by an inch. And there was a guy, unfortunately I can't think of his name out. Maybe I'll put it on the video later, but. He has a great video where he whipped out his watt meter and he basically figured it out, what prop you should use that's basically doesn't overamp the system and gives you, comparable amps, watts that you'd get if you were flying a 6-cell. So for this thing, once again, when I figure out what it is, I'll put it on there, but it's an inch bigger than the prop that they give you, type of thing.
Very nice. That's cool.
Yep. So for its maiden, I'm going to fly with a 6-cell.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're excited to hear what the maiden looks like, and getting it all together. It sounds like it's almost ready to go. You just got to program your radio and get out there. And we're looking forward to a report. So,
oh yeah.
Well, unfortunately, our time is growing short. So what we'll do is we'll wrap it up for this week, and we'll keep Jay on on point there for when he programs his radio. He can tell us a little bit more about it, and hopefully he'll get out there and test fly it and give us a report on what it flies. Deal?
Sounds good to me.
Deal.
All right. Well, I'm Michael from Arizona.
And I'm Jay from the hills of Texas.
And I'm AK Mike in Texas.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.